Okay, this is going to be hopefully a much shorter video. Now we're going to go through a refactor. So that previous video was us wiring up a hook and a PM to grab entities and be notified when things change. Now, one thing that's come up is when Jordan uses these things in React, it's actually he's asking for is disabled or disabled. So obviously you can flip that in all of his stuff. But since this hook is primarily going to be tailored towards React, I mean, it is for React, we could do two things. We could flip it right here. We could expand this function. Instead of just straight up setting the tool VM, we could kind of, spread it out and negate, essentially invert the is selected to is deselected. Or no, disabled. We're doing disabled, sorry. So we could switch that. But you'll notice this hook is not test driven. And so whenever we can, we should try to do logic in test driven development because that's where things should go. All right. So let's roll up to our PM and let's take care of this in our presenter model because the presenter model is the one that's supposed to be doing all this logic. This hook is just we're only using it because it's a convenient way to connect our system to React. That's the only reason why. So we want to keep these are just like a conduit. So we want to keep the hooks fairly dumb. They're not test driven. They're very special to React. They're a framework. So let's not put a ton of effort into there. Let's just let them be a conduit to pass things through. Their job is to create the PM and to dispose of the PM and then to use this state so that the magic happens when the state changes because React is kind of like state driven. So let's roll back into our tools and clean this up. So we're going to take this off, take this off, take this off. And this is going to be a great little example in test driven development too. So we've got this tool. We want to come in here now and we want to change this to is disabled. So we're going to do is disabled. All right, so that did that. Now, that changed that. So is selected, is disabled. Now we're going to do this, is disabled. And we're going to do a not on the enabled. And then let's refactor this to previous is disabled. Just make sure that works. And then there we go. And take that out, take that out. All right, so there's a really quick refactor on that, but we're failing our test, which is great. We should expect that. We've done a flip, and so things should change. So let's run over here and just think through this. So we're talking about the enabled one. Selection. So down here, enabled. When enabled state changes, well, first off, we know this needs to be is disabled. We know it needs to be inverted, so it's going to be false. And I think we can just kind of run through and find whenever we use this is disabled, flip it to true. And that should fix it. There we go. So that was a really easy refactor, but it's a good one. It's an important one. Makes life a little bit easier out on the front end, and removed a little bit of logic into our PMs that are test driven. And makes this more uniform. So that's it. Let me just do a recap. So we knew we wanted our hook. We wanted the data coming into React to be mapped a different way. We could have renamed something. We could have added a new feature. But we knew we wanted it coming in. So what we did was we traced it back through the hook to the presenter model that is forming the view model. We adjusted the presenter model and made sure the tests were refactored to match. And then once we adjusted the presenter model, well, you notice we didn't really have to do anything in the hook. The hook doesn't even, wait, the hook does care. See this? The hook is going to care because now we got to do this is disabled. Is selected. Oh no, it did. It refactored it for us because we had a hooked in. So you'll see it changed it. Disabled should be default to true. That's another thing we should do. So true is disabled. So our default state of is disabled is true. All right. Now, everything's good to go. So excellent.